that one. There you see the table set for the first two matches, one in Group B and equally in Group A. And as you'll see, the host nation taking on Great Britain. They finished 5th in those games 4 years ago. So France and Sweden up first, though. They are at the European tilt. They are in the official world rankings for this tournament. It is Sweden 6th and France 7th. So that's how tight it is. And there you see the records. Both of them taking on the same opponents, both the Japanese and the Americans in this group, getting the better of them, and very fair score lines, both of these sides against them. As we'll look at this pool, United States with 4 points sitting at the top, and Japan, they will take on each other later in day 3. And then France and Sweden still with the victories, possibly. A victory here would ultimately set them up in the 3rd position. And since London, there's been a change where they don't cross over and play 4th and then come back to have those classification matches. 3rd of each group will play each other for 5th position, and then equally 4 from each of these pools will play each other for that 7th position. Our 2 referees today, it's Mitch Carr, the American, and from Canada, Jean Chouinard. And there now, it's Sweden who'll come out first. They in blue and yellow. I was going to say gold, that's more gold and green that is for Australia. So they have been right in amongst it, as there you see the lineup there. Number 2, that is Rickard Lofgren. Hasn't had a whole lot of time as yet, but they are an older side, is Sweden. As there is some great color so far in this one. The fans really enjoy the theatrics, great costuming, and great celebration of the athletes. Only 8 teams in this tournament in Rio in the wheelchair rugby. So 2 groups of 4, as I say, and because they start a little bit later, it's only a 5-day tournament. And this, as we said, into day 3 overall, coming near the end, obviously, of these highly successful games in Rio. There is the Canadian coach of this side. He's been a part of the Canadian wheelchair rugby, and that, of course, is Benoit Lebrec. And for France, they get a very welcoming cheer as they now make their way into the arena. There is Cedric Nankin. He's a crowd favorite. They love to see what he can bring as their captain comes out. That is Jonathan HIVERNAT, and he an average of goals in the games that he's played, just the 2, 18.5. As the French, they equally in great support of their side. So this really, as I say, a setting up of who is going to compete in a matchup potentially for 5th position in this tournament. The semifinalists have already been determined, and this now a battle as to who will finish 3rd. A victory will put him in that position in this group. And of course, this is Group B. So there is Riadh Salem. He's such a character. He's the dual sport athlete for France. He no longer plays in wheelchair basketball, but he 3-time Paralympian in that sport. And there the coach of France cuisine looks on now for the national anthems of both nations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the anthem of Sweden. Senhoras e senhores, o hino da Suécia.
Both teams ready as they will shake hands right at the center line. Equally the coaches do. And the gifts coming across, I think those are the sunglasses that the French have been giving as gifts to the other nations that they have played in this tournament so far. At the sides, this inside, karaoke #1 arena, they are ready to do battle. As we say, it ultimately is about a chance to finish higher in the overall grouping. And this now, the Paralympics, as we look back 4 years ago, France finished 8th and Sweden 6th. So a victory as they take each other on here will effectively set them up in either a battle, as they say, for 5th or for 7th. So maybe a changing of the guard. France would love to get one over on Sweden. Of course, they see each other at these European Championships as well, but one of the top 8 now in the world at these Paralympic Games in Rio. HJERT is one to be looking out for Sweden. He averages 15 goals a match. And Stefan Jansson, he is the 1.0 classified player. He's the captain of this side, and he wears number 13. He averages 11 goals per match. But this also as well, NORLIN, he's a really handy player, and he's more of a veteran on this side. He averages 8. He's a 2.5 classification, and he's also the joint captain with Jansson as Lebrecht. He's got great experience in this sport of wheelchair rugby. Sweden probably in this group where they deserve to be as you look at their lineup now for France. And you will see Riadh Salem, number 9, Christophe SALEGUI, number 13, and Jonathan HIVERNAT, number 11. Those 3 are going to really carry the mail for this side. Olivier Cuisine, he has got an infectious spirit about him. He's been very positive as we look back across at Sweden's lineup. NORLIN is handy at 8, Jansson 13, Thomas HJERT is 22. Then we go right back to number 6, that's Tobias Sandberg. They're the most likely to really be the impact scorers, and of course their coach, Benoit Lebrecht. As Sweden ready to roll both of these sides. They know what's at stake, and it sets up entirely where their rankings might sit at the end of this tournament. But forget really all of that. You want to win a game, don't you, at the Paralympics? You haven't gone through this last cycle of 4 years. And for some of these athletes, of course, their first time in a Paralympic Games. NANKIN, CHALMIN, HIVERNAT, the captain, and SALEGUI will start. That's probably their best construction of a lineup, in fairness. But then when you brought in Salem, he has been able to equally make things happen, too. He's such a dynamic player. ADASZAK, Sandberg, Jansson, and HJERT. That is the same looking lineup that we have seen for Sweden in the start throughout the entirety. Now this is their 3rd match at this tournament. So welcome to Rio, wherever you're watching. We are in a very interesting day of wheelchair rugby to come, day 3. And the opening possession is taken by HIVERNAT. He is stripped though. The quick hands of HJERT. Can he catch this one up? He does. Well taken by HJERT. Inside to Jansson, and it's as quick as that. Sweden on the board. And they with the opening goal. And there it is from SALEGUI, a quick break all the way down. And you see him with those distinctive glasses on. So he rising up through this French side and really now taking the lion's share of the offensive responsibility. It used to really be Riadh Salem, but they have options now. Turned over. SALEGUI will just take that. And you talk about a quick score, it almost just was understated. And are they going to count it? I don't think so. I think they see it as an infringement. Or they do. Exactly. It's on the board. So it's officially been recorded. And here, the other side, ADASZAK now makes the inbounds. So it was just so casual was the refereeing about it, not really making much of a reaction to it. And I was thinking maybe he had overstepped the mark and gone over the line, but it's now Sweden who have leveled it at 2. HIVERNAT, these two will just trade places really between SALEGUI and the 25-year-old. That's just his first of the day. and you expect more of that. So just the lone captain, he is the man for France. It's denoted with that responsibility and that honor more than anything, to be given that to represent your national team. This is out. Janssen, he's going to deal with SALEGUI coming back against them from behind. Oh, and they've done well here, France. They just got in there and poked that ball out almost with a pool cue. You're seeing a different feeling here altogether in this matchup. I think both of these nations know that they're right in their own weight class here. And they are giving everything they've got. And not to say that they've tempered themselves against some of the other nations in this tournament who probably, yes, have the nod above them. But there is that natural tendency that when you're right in a game that you know you can realistically compete for a victory, well, you just bring another dimension to your play, don't you? Here is HIVERNAT. He will score again. And this combination right now for France, and they take a 2-goal lead. And in the flurry of activity, I've lost track who got that opening tip, because what ends up happening in wheelchair rugby is they end up from the opening possession sort of trading goals back and forth. But this right now from HIVERNAT, he's having an outstanding start. And they're creating confusion and panic in the Swedish side. And they could very well go again for a fifth. And I think against the grain have established now a 3-goal margin. So if you're just watching wheelchair rugby for the first time, as you can see, 4 players on the field for each side. And they have a total cumulative value of 8 that they are allowed on the floor. And of course, that cumulative value is in association to the numerical value recognized in their classification. So each player with a level of function, the lower level function with a lower numerical value at 0.5, as Janssen will take this one across, all the way up to the highest level of function, and obviously the highest numerical value and the classification for that, a 3.5. So across those 4 players, you cannot exceed the number of 8. And if you have a female player, you actually get allowed another half a point, an 8.5. So this will be played in. And they're getting wrapped up here. The offload, this has just got away this time. Sweden is now creating a disruption. And they have won this ball back. The over the back throw and into the clutches. Who gets the contact on the arm, though? It happens so quickly that from our vantage point, we just almost need that opportunity for the ref to come across. It's 11 white, so it's HIVERNAT who gets the touch on the arm. So Sweden will get control. So he goes to sit down for a minute now. And now substitutions coming in. NORLIN and Andreas COLLIN. Their first look of action as SANDBERG makes his way out. So with a 4 against 3 now, and equally so does Janssen. So they should score. That's really seen as money in the bank. It's like an IOU, and you have a 4 against 3. It's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to convert this. It's just a matter of time. Collin's in a position here, and he will just wait. He's trying to manage, make sure that his team are in position to go up against HIVERNAT and track him as he comes out of that penalty box area. So a moment ago, they were 3 up, but that exchange has now led it that if France can push here, it's just 2, but equally Sweden need to really employ a better defense there. They give too much room for HIVERNAT to come all the way the length of the floor, and he creates his opening in the backcourt, doesn't he? And then he sees really what's available, and then it's just a straight race for the open space on the floor. Give and go. Thomas here. He's a former ice hockey player, and his impairment comes as a result of an accident in the sport. He went into the boards, and that will be a jump ball, a possession arrow. It's in fact Sweden's ball, and they retain possession now. So France up by 2. They'll look to try and put a wall up here now. NORLIN, he's a reliable pair of hands for Sweden. As you say, the older of the 2 sides, but 38 is the average age for Sweden, so that's quite indicating. They'll try their best, of course, to continue to rejuvenate and develop the next wave of talent. NORLIN takes it across the line. He's got to get that in his possession before he crosses it with his wheels. So any two wheels, not necessarily the biggest ones, can be the caster wheels that go across that goal line first. So it's very tight how quickly you can get that ball and make sure you have complete possession before you cross, or otherwise they'll just disallow it. So the score line is just to give you an idea of how this game could end up potentially. France, when they played the United States, they lost by 9. It was a score of 51-42. And equally against Japan, they lost 57-52. So that is a general indication of just how many goals you're going to see. Quickly advanced here. Good contact from NORLIN. It's a full contact sport, wheelchair rugby. It really is a blend of a number of different sports packaged under the well-known name of rugby. But I think, as we discuss often, handball, basketball, American football, ice hockey, all of that can be seen in this particular sport. So it's the Swedish player, COLLIN, needing an adjustment on his wheel. It's not quite spinning right. The ball bearings in there. Pretty simple mechanisms though, but you can see these wheels. They have taken an almighty pounding, and they're heavier, these wheelchairs, than what you might see in wheelchair basketball. And they have really gone through the wars to get to this stage at the Paralympics. You can just see every dent and scratch and abrasion on their equipment. NANKIN coming across. He born with his impairment, without the lower arms, as you can see, and he is great though. You've seen sometimes when, well, he uses his weight, he's got substantial weight, and he able to provide the block, and he's got that extra bumper on his chair, which gives him that element. It's almost like American football. You see he's just tracking HJERT right now, wanting to get to him before he can get away, and because he's as heavy as he is, he makes it so hard, the body pressure from his wheelchair on a player like HJERT, he just can't get away. And it's forced him to call a timeout. It's really great assertion there from France. Just in that forecourt press, applying that pressure, and you see how hard it is, the work that goes into it. And NANKIN, he is right on point there to take away the good flow from HJERT, who is more of a mobile player. That's the way his chair is designed. He couldn't get away from him. The overlap, and in there is Thomas HJERT. He's going to drive and roll. He's got the room. He has another score. And there he gets away this time, and so that timeout, very strategic. For 30 seconds, it gives the opportunity to just roll into some better space. You can see he was in a tight spot up against NANKIN. So back and forth they go. And this really is an exciting day, because every one of these matchups that is going to be played in day 3, as it's up to HIVERNAT, every team is right beside who really is their countermeasure in wheelchair rugby on this planet. So nothing better than that, than playing against your real direct peer. The rivalries equally are there. The stories in what is a very young sport already. There's a big hit. The advancement though, they know that. They can see it out of the corner of their eye that a player has just decided to drop the needle and to try to come in and bury their chair into them. So they have to advance it. That really is king. If you hold on to that ball when you get hit as much as that and you're not prepared for it, it'll pop out of your lap as quick as you can say Dixie. So different constructions of chairs. Some of them have a little bit of a crossbar in front where it's a little bit like a basket at the front of their bike that they just put the ball in. And it works so well. it's a great almost protection mechanism. It allows them to use both of their arms is the most important thing while that ball is in that lap area, and also has that cross member across the front that keeps them and keeps the ball secure, because then you can just use all of your momentum and all of your power rather than trying to control the ball just to generate speed. So reaching in there, let's clarify. It's going to be SALEGUI who's getting the defensive foul, so he makes his way over. So 4 against 3 now for Sweden. And waiting to put it in, that is ADASZAK who makes that play. So up to NORLIN. And he waits to see that everybody is in position before he'll score. NORLIN's got a couple goals so far. So through this Swedish side, they already have 5 scorers, just the 2 right now, HIVERNAT and SALEGUI, carrying the mail for France. So France, in this possession, want to be the first to get the double digits. They're being counted in. They have 10 seconds in which to get it in. He might run into trouble here. He's played it, and that's right back out, and it's been turned. Oh, they're going to get it, of course. It goes off the Swedish chair, so directly. So he'll get another 10 seconds there, and I wonder whether or not he did that by design, because he played it off the wheel, didn't he, of the Swedish player. Again, being counted in. And all the way, the good work here. The offload up, and they have just manufactured this, haven't they, with some great movement. So all the way back, this is ADASZAK who will make the inbound. He's 33 years of age, and he's at 0.5, so that's the lowest level of function. So if you can utilize that for good inbounding, you're doing well, because inbounding is massive. NORLIN, it's a big part of the game because each of these goals requires the inbound. And if you've got a good player who can reliably service it to your team, get it into play like this, then you get easy scores like this. And that's ideally where you want to be. Of course, I don't think either of these sides are going to open up much of a lead against each other. So these small areas, as for France right now, it's Adrien CHALMIN. So CHALMIN with the inbound. And he's got a couple different targets. He goes into HIVERNAT here. NANKIN is going to try and block for him. He's trying to release out. Maybe he's going to be a long option. Can they get it out? He's going to have to call a timeout, because Sweden are on him like a cheap suit. They are as tight as bark to a tree. And he needs to call that time out just so they can re-enter it. And where does he go with it? He thinks about bouncing it, and you see exactly what Sweden has. They have a 3-headed monster right on him. So the temperature outside, about 25 degrees, a little bit overcast today. So it just saying that, you're just looking at the perspiration on HIVERNAT, just seeing whether or not it's particularly warm in here. They've done a great job at keeping the facilities at a good temperature for equally the players and the fans alike. But up to NANKIN, there he is. He's got the double clutches on it there. He puts it across. That's another new score for France. And he is a favorite. The French faithful here enjoying the action, and equally as the Brazilians have as well. There you see him, 32 years of age, and born with his impairment, but he plays such an effective role here. Needs to be careful not to have been out of bounds on that inbound. So he's in, he's locked up his man, causing life to be difficult for Thomas HJERT. You see HJERT going to his face, and looked as though he got a finger or a hand in there somehow. And then NANKIN so kindly just shoves him off the court in the process. And that's part of it. you can get your player moved out, and this is what Lebrecq is wondering. He's saying, well, haven't I kind of got an injured player there at the time, and what is going on here, ref? But equally, it's a fine line. You, of course, have to have compassion for the athletes. They do more so, I think, when there's a technical issue. He's been forced out. HIVERNAT, they've turned it over. Sweden can level here now. When there's a technical issue with the chairs, they immediately need attention and they give allocation to the athletes. I haven't seen a situation as yet, other than the American in this tournament that fell difficultly, Josh Brewer, where a player has gone down with injury. We've seen some tremendous tumbles, but we haven't seen any injuries as a result of those yet. So with all of this contact that you see in this sport, these players love it. And equally so do the fans. It's a growing sport of popularity. So the contact, are they just going to award this here? I think they will, as continuous play. The contact on the arm, but NORLIN was in a position. Sometimes what you'll see, the defensive player will get a penalty if they leave the field of play, and then they'll be disadvantaged by the one player. Sometimes they just allow the point to be scored, and equally it's just the discretion of the referee. NANKIN now, he's got a tripod of Swedes on him, and that is going to go the other direction, and so that's a difficult one for NANKIN. He just gets boxed in, he's got his back to the play, and he's not able to really from there launch the ball up because the hands are in the way. And then equally with the shorter limbs, just can't stretch beyond them or try to find a different angle to get that ball out. So it's a smart play from Sweden to take it away from him. Sandberg throws it, and waiting is Glenn ADASZAK. He will score. How about that one? He takes that like he does it for a living. And he's pretty stylish there, in fairness, ADASZAK. Like he's here to do business. And he just did it there, didn't he? Taking that goal. SALLEM is in. Contact from Sandberg. Both teams have gone in with their pool cues so far and are just trying to slot the ball out, be as disruptive as they can. A great smile and a great character is Riadh SALLEM, the 46-year-old who's now out on the floor for France. I haven't seen it as much in this tournament as I have previously, particularly in London, where he just is a dominant player, but he was kind of the only one on France. They have better balance now, so he comes in as a secondary option. He could still very much be a first liner, but he just is able to keep that ball so well and score so well. It's about trying to make sure you utilize everybody, but he's hunting down Sandberg. These two guys right in the same weight class with each other. This is going to get up into Jensen. He's going to feel SALLEM here, and this is a good little moonwalk to get away from the trouble there, as he just does a little spin out, and he elects to call a timeout. And is he using a full 60 or just a 30? So they'll go all the way back to the bench and just reconvene. So 1 minute and 8 seconds is remaining in this opening period. France, they're just waiting around. They want to get this thing going. And that will be the end of the allocation of time for Sweden. ADASZAK wants it into Sandberg, but he's got two different options. That's a great pass. And that really is the mark of a great player. To be able to feed that into the only area that really Sandberg was going to be uncontested for, beyond the stretch of SALLEM, into HJERT. HJERT is going to go across the line for another score. And now here, Sweden will nudge ahead by one inside this last minute. SALLEM, he is not interested in that. He's going to take this all the way. He's got Sandberg, who tries to reach into his bag of tricks, and SALLEM keeps every one of them for himself, as they both on a baker's dozen with 13. Now the crowd growing inside this facility up to 14,500, a part of 3 together, and you'll see when the shots overhead ahead of our broadcast, but equally of the Olympic Park. It's a velodrome. It's this facility where, in fact, the Olympic basketball was played. Also the wheelchair basketball was before it went across to the Olympic arena inside this park. So it really is a prime venue. It saw all sorts of activity in both of these events, the Olympics and the Paralympics. You can see by the floor here, it's seen enough of this wheelchair rugby already. That's why it comes in last as well, part of it, because they do so much damage to the floor with their wheelchairs. Just because they're stopping, breaking, and of course hitting each other and falling as often as they are. They kind of need to be the last show on the stage. This is going to be HJERT. Just waiting to cross. He's trying to manage these last seconds so that France doesn't have another opportunity. NANKIN's heavy enough to shove him. There's 4.5 seconds remaining there. So 4.4 exactly. HJERT now with 3 goals. And the 4 different scores across for France. There's 6 so far for Sweden. Is that going to be a part of this story? That little bit of diversification, balance for Sweden in this one. That's a great opening 8. As these two sides give what they have to offer, they really are top nations in the world, and they're right in amongst where they need to be. The winner will take the 3rd position in Group B. It is Sweden 14, France 13 at quarter time. Defensive fouls, France committing 4 of those. And the turnovers, they were able to just get that hand in there. Both sides with a couple steals each, but you saw them like darts trying to dislodge that ball and be disruptive. They take a few more penalties too. So Sandberg, he's just a very calm, measured, poised player, very skillful, great mobility. And he gets things started for Sweden in that opening frame. This is their chance for a victory at the Paralympic Games. It's their first chance. You expect they equally will have a realistic chance in their classification matchup, but this determines which one they'll be playing in. So a quick turnaround between these periods. And it will be an inbound for France. Now just waiting. Sweden already back in position. HIVERNAT looks at his backside approach. It's not there. He comes around the near side. I think he's got room. He does. He just kind of thrusts himself past Sandberg. He doesn't quite get the center of his body and chair in a lane to block him out. And you're not just going to control him with your bumper really side on. There's a big hit. ADASZAK. He has been very reliable getting that ball in so far for Sweden, and that is not to be underestimated. As I say, it's crucial. You just think of how many scores, over 50, potentially over 60 in a matchup. That's 50 or 60 inbounds. And each one of them has to get in your own team's hands in order for them to score, or you're giving it over in turnovers, and they become crucial. Very impacting in a scoreline. Right back though. France through HIVERNAT. They just drop it down. And that's easy scoring as Sweden quite constructed an attacking approach. You see how aggressive France are right here, trying to mute out Sweden's movement. HJERT is going to wind himself up. He's across the line inside of 12. And the good, strong interchange of direction there leaves the French defender having to concede. There's that big bumper of NANKIN. He just drops it in. Now he's got the ball. But you see what happens. As soon as he gets it in those tight spaces, he can get smothered. And they throw a blanket right on him. And then a timeout here from HIVERNAT. So You're seeing now Sweden be much more aggressive, and they elect to now call a timeout, and they will just discuss their options. And it's coming more from the sidelines here. So they are just trying to pack the house in front of their own goal line. As Cousin looks on, so just the one player thinks about coming up. The three equally distributed across that line. NANKIN looks to barge one in. This for HIVERNAT is really well played. So that's all about that first strike and hold that comes from the blocking presence of NANKIN. Big hit out into the open floor, and SANDBERG. This just is back and forth, just trading one for the other. We saw the more aggressive defense coming from Sweden, but then they elect to now go back and just sit and wait. Where NANKIN will go should determine how they will follow. He makes that first effort. He's locked up this side. If he can get away from JANSSON. JANSSON's doing a great job, number 13 for Sweden. He is tracking HIVERNAT right now. He is on him like a tail. Oh, they've done well here. SALEGUI brings that. That ball kind of bounces up, but I think he's a little bit fortunate to catch that in his possession. As it goes on the floor there, and then you see the way it pops up. He gets it before it gets over top of him. And that's when things really would have become a battle for possession. He's had that issue with his hubcap, with his axle, for the last couple matches, and seems to just be a little temperamental. The locking mechanism there, it just doesn't seem to stay in position, and he'll feel it as soon as he pushes himself that it's not totally tight. SANDBERG starting to mount the scores for himself individually. He's got 3 now. So his average output in the tournament, 9.5, is what he is producing so far. He really is a player that can be in double digits comfortably, but he likes to just move it around, and when you play physical against them, he seems to just step back a peg. Different teams, the Americans like to play that way, the Australians, so do the Canadians, but the Japanese, they also, these sides too, but they're not as physical, in fairness. Players in this side that really like to, it is SALLEM, he'll hit. NANKIN will do the blocking and the hitting, but there isn't a whole lot more for France to do it. JANSSON will throw himself about and get involved in there, but that for the most part, NORLIN also likes it. They are joint captains of Sweden. Inside to HJERT. He will score, he takes it, and it's a calmly delivered score. So he's on a half dozen now. And this is HIVERNAT again, just needing a new wheel. He's getting frustrated as well. And you see how simple that mechanism is. It just comes in, that just attaches to what is effectively their axle. But it doesn't come all the way through. It's only attached kind of underneath there, the way the supporting mechanism for these wheels and the wheelchair work. Inbound and well played, but they haven't got movement yet. That's a problem for France. They'll take it here. SALEGUI down low, just working and twisting. Now you see the 2-point differential. NANKIN has got it. He's got it in his basket. SANDBERG tries to again unhook it and take it from him, but from behind he just pushes him across the line.
So following the French goal, foul by Sweden, giving France possession once again.
So Sweden with the foul on the play leads to the change here, and right back now France have this opportunity to level it. He's flying here is HIVERNAT. He just winds her right up, and he's almost looks motorized there, doesn't he? The way he attacks that line, comes right at it. So he's got 9. From behind, SANDBERG just needs to work his way out of trouble. He has done that, but he's also come right back into another pocket of it. Look at the screen he utilizes, and he just catches the slipstream and just moves around, slides into position. The moment you see yourself on the big screen. As Tobias SANDBERG with 4 now. Lebrecht barking the instructions from the sideline, and then reaching in there, SANDBERG. He picks up, well, it's an offensive foul, that one. But he goes off to the penalty box area. So they officially see it as a defensive foul, but regardless, it is a foul. And now it's 4 against 3 France. So Sweden have done well just to keep their nose in front here. They've actually scored quite comfortably. SANDBERG has just found a little bit of a comfort zone and an easy way to get these tallies on the board. It hasn't been too arduous. SALEGUI up against JANSSON. JANSSON is a great defender. As a 1.0. This is around and round we go. And it will finally be recorded. So SANDBERG makes his way back out. And he does this. He likes to move it in motion. He gives it to ADASZAK, and he just kind of taps it back to him. Just clever play that. You have to really know that your guy's ready for it. Big hit there from HIVERNAT. So give full credit. This is a great shift from France. Contact on the arm, but they really start to play physical, and I think all the teams generally are more effective when they do. There's a big hit there, then SALEGUI with another one as well. Then HIVERNAT comes back and is looking to apply force, and that, it just, not only is it more entertaining, but it does lead to disruption and some decision making that has been hustled or hurried. Just pulling back and away. Trying to spin and get this ball forward. It is SANDBERG. He uses the block of JANSSON. And this is a great sequence here. Sweden really have moved the ball around well. They've taken the openings and they've seen them clearly. Thomas here takes that one back, another turnover, and here come the Scandinavians again. This is becoming a challenge right now for France, or Sweden, who just are taking what's being given to them, and France have obviously been able to run right alongside, but that's an easier score. So you're seeing probably just over half full in here right now, about 7,000. And of course, that will grow. The host nation equally in play today too. They take on Great Britain, so that'll be an interesting one for sure. Great Britain really a couple crushing defeats by 2 goals against Australia, the reigning Paralympic gold medalists, and then they lose in overtime to Canada, who were the silver medalists. Also the silver medalists of the World Championships in 2014. Those were in Denmark. So how will this set up this day? It's a battle where everybody has found their level, really. For ADASZAK, he's just looking to get this ball in. And it's right into Sandberg, but he's got himself into a vice grip here. He will get out. Nankin is hustling. He's turned here. He's done well. That bumper is trouble. He's got a, not only is it a bumper, but it's almost like a basket there at the front because it's extended out and around. And it's got a curve or rather a corner on it. And what it does is it can get into the frame of an opponent's wheelchair and make life difficult. You see HJERT just trying to pound down into position, making sure that the chair is moving properly. Lebrecq actually helps him with that. And you'll see the coach is right involved in doing this, making sure that the players, of course, have full use of their equipment because those are they're their wheels. They are so reliant upon them. They are ultimately their extension of their bodies, and effectively they are the athlete, that chair, in a way, and how they use it, and of course how they stop, control, and change direction with it. So HJERT goes and calls a timeout there. He was just feeling as though they were sputtering. Looks for a re-entrance now. And you see the shot clock, or the scoring clock rather. It's at 18 seconds. So this is just kind of got a little bit quiet in here, but now it will pick up. But again, Sandberg has got himself in a tight place. He gets it out though. Well delivered into HJERT. And you see they're inside now, single digits. A little bit of a opening there. HJERT has to just kind of raise his back leg. And he takes it across the line. Just catch a piece of him here, the chair, and just a little bit of a shove from him as he opens up. Doesn't allow the player to hook onto him, and that's where things happen and make life difficult if they can hold you. Thomas HJERT, he gets leveled by SALEGUI coming in. That's what happens. That physicality, and then he ends up called with a foul. So a player comes in, and as you see right there, just a direct burst of power. Generate that G-force right through your opponent. And you see what happens with the ball, particularly when you got active hands in right in behind it. And then you go to try to recover it, and you get a foul. So that really is a change there. It's France to inbound, and they also have the man advantage. So a different look now for Sweden. NORLIN and COLLIN in there. So they can just slow things down now and think about how they want to trade this possession back and forth. In a great spot, HIVERNAT can decide. He sends his teammates to go over and to be ready to deal with HJERT as he comes back in. So as soon as he scores, he comes back over and does his part. Big play right into the hands of HJERT. What a pass there from Andreas COLLIN. Right on the money. He sends it long, and it is perfect placement. Equally, the bounce is just right on time as well. And as this place gets even louder, it gets more difficult for the coaches to be heard. It's in, it's moving, it's out. And look who's waiting for it. It's their big target. Cedric Nankin drives himself across the line. He'll score again. Everybody loves it. He does too. He is such an effective player. So Nankin, his classification, he's a 1.5. But with his weight too, he just gives himself that other advantage of just when he's beside you, you have trouble getting away from him. That's because equally because of his size, but also because of the construction of his chair. So they just try to get away from him, and if you're worrying about trying to get away from him, you're not doing the job you need to do. So that's how he can influence the match. So SALEGUI again now is in the penalty bench area. You see how he's being asked to just be back in that assigned marking there. The penalty bench official just saying, please just stay in your area. Everything has its place and its protocol at the Paralympics. It's obviously a model that works, but this is sport, as they say, just has been involved officially since the turn of the century. In Sydney, the Paralympic movement starting in 1960 in Rome. HJERT, he is rather a paced player. You don't see him necessarily cutting it loose, but he's got this ball, and this is another smart conversion as they will take the lead, Sweden. And they have traded it back and forth. At the end of the opening period of play, it was Sweden 14-13. They're dead level in scoring in this second period. So it's like they say, close only counts in slow dancing. And right now, close, well, it's there, but they both want that victory. That'll put them into that classification matchup for 5th position. So 4 games in day 3. There will equally be 4 games in day 4. And then on the finals day, it'll just be the bronze and the gold medal match that is contested here at the Karaoke 1 Arena. So what used to happen in this competition, that at the end of the preliminary round, 3rd would play 4th in the other group and vice versa. And then they would whoever is the victor of that would then play against the opposite winner to determine who was finishing 5th. They've removed that match now. And it's just immediately whoever finishes 3rd in the group plays 3rd in the other side. And to determine after the semifinals who will finish 5th. It'll be HIVERNAT. And then obviously, of course, 7th place between the two sides to finish 4th in their respective groups. Coming up, looked to be a good hit there. I thought they were going to lower the boom here on COLLIN, but it's JANSSON who just drives through. And he quickly grabs his order and he's rolling. Spinning his man. We'll see exactly what the official call here is. So they just say it as a defensive foul. It's JARLAN who has come in, and he gets that. So they're suggesting hitting from behind, but looked as though maybe, yeah, he'd spun him a little bit. But so they do allow it, but they allow hitting kind of directly from behind as opposed to coming in from behind the axle on the wheel, where that can sometimes, more likely than not, you're going to see that being assessed with a hitting from behind penalty. So the clock is working its way down. Sweden have got themselves with the nose in front one more time from this distance. France expecting to get to 26 as well. They try to score before the end of 40 seconds. The reason why he almost burns a track down the field there is because he's trying to score that before Sweden are going to get the last possession and potentially be able to use the entirety of it. And Sweden, of course, if they can convert, then they take the lead and then apply the pressure back on France, but they're not going to have much time. You wouldn't expect France to respond. That's if they can get it in, of course. They are running out of time here. They could turn it over. They have to call the timeout, and you see Lebrecht. Lebrecht is upset about it.
An offensive foul, holding on for more than 10 seconds there. It is a turnover. France
so they're seeing it. They've run out of the opportunity of timeouts. So it's an offensive foul, more than 10 seconds. He had indicated for the timeout, but they don't have it. So they turn it over. And now France, with this, could take the lead. You would expect it inside of 30 seconds. The shot clock and the game clock are the same. Big hit from JARLAN. Opening up. HIVERNAT has got the room. NORLIN stays with him, but he's looking to do rings around the track here for a while. Problem with that is you end up running out of gas if you aren't doing it. This is a great play, though. They are across the line, and maybe they are a little too quick doing so. He could have maybe gone parallel to the line before coming across. Jarlan, but he doesn't score many of them. So it's one of those extra requests. He's just glad to have it and to convert it. So he's a 2.5, but he doesn't get as much playing time. And there, Sweden get it back, and they will have a chance dramatically to level. But now 3.7 the other way. You just never know how a last 40 seconds is going to play out in wheelchair rugby. As you see him just wondering, and I think they're just going to hold on to it here. They will. It's HIVERNAT. We are dead level after the opening 16, 27 apiece. As this has been a little bit of a flip of each quarter, 14-13 for Sweden in the first, and then 14-13 for France in the second. We are at 27 apiece in Group B action in the wheelchair rugby at halftime. Defensive fouls more committed by France. The turnovers, a couple more as well. The steals equally the same. The scoreline says it all. These two sides are perfectly matched. It's the second half awaiting as they'll keep their tires warm in pit lane. Just a 5-minute break. We'll join you for that in just a moment.
Roubada de bola da França. Placar até agora, França 5, Suécia 3. França, gol do número 13, SALEGUI recebe o passe do capitão da equipe número 11, HIVERNAT. Passe preciso ali, caiu no colo de NORLIN da Suécia, que marca com
underway in the second half. It is Sandberg with control. And as you can see, we are right at 27s. He's got himself into a tight spot here. And it's quickly, it will be Thomas here across the line to take the lead again. Well advanced up to HIVERNAT. He will take it through. He's got a number of Swedish players, though, hunting him down. And into an offload now for SALEGUI. Where will he go? There is contact right on the ball. It looked as beat. So you see here frustrated by the decision. And he comes across. It's a 1-minute penalty against him. So France with the inbound, they are 4-on-3 with the numerical advantage. SALEGUI takes advantage with a score for France. It's back to 28s. Sandberg spins away. He's got HJERT back out. Big hit there. It's up to JANSSON. JANSSON will take receipt of it, and he scores for Sweden. They go back in front. So you can see NANKIN getting both of his wheels worked on here quickly. So he's back and rolling again. SALEGUI is 2. He's got 7 goals in this one. HIVERNAT now with 15. And Thomas HJERT, the leading scorer for Sweden. They're number 22 with 13 goals. Oh, they've taken him out. I think JANSSON will get the penalty here. And he catches, I think it's SALEGUI, just in an awkward moment. Not sure if he was entirely aware of it, but we'll just watch this again here on replay. So JANSSON comes across, and that's some frustration getting the better of the Swede there. He just hits SALEGUI. They're trying to come back. I think once he had generated the speed, he just catches him in this unusual, and in one of these situations, the athlete is still down. So I think he's okay. He's going to get himself back upright. You see, he's been obviously shaken up on the play. And I think it was the element of surprise as much as anything that kind of shocked him, and then obviously the awkward fall. Hopefully he hasn't hit his head there on the floor as he went down. Rio's done a great job at making sure the next generation of sports people have had a chance to enjoy competition at either of the Olympics or Paralympics. Particularly the Paralympics. They really put a push on, and they've been coming out in droves to experience it and to also experience some of the pride in hosting an event of this magnitude. HIVERNAT takes that one across the line. And again, it is a level ball game, this time at 29. And that's contact from SALEGUI, just reaches in. He will get a penalty for that. And comes across, you can see the indication. And contact on the arm, officially the call.
Now SALEGUI from France reducing the French team to 3 men.
Sandberg just waiting, directing traffic behind him as to where he wants his players. You see how much time he has on the shot clock. And he just sits there by himself, directing traffic behind, making sure that everybody is appropriately matched up. And with this, they'll be the first to 30. And he takes it across the line with single digits left on the score clock. So again, Sweden with the lead. It's been dislodged. It's Jansson who'll come in to get it. Oh, I think he's just gone out before he's had an opportunity to call a timeout. And there again, just a difficult moment. The turnover, and that's what pressure does. France right behind, forcing the issue. And CHALMIN, or this is CHALMIN to play it in. 1-2, over to HIVERNAT. He's got a long ways to go. He'll get it up in advance. This is good passing play. NANKIN, though, hasn't really been in range to recover that one. I think he went for a little bit of a route too wide and needed to stay more centrally in the floor. And Jansson for Sweden will take an easy score and increase it now to 2 goals. NANKIN has it this time. Oh, and he's been stripped of it. Who did touch it last? It goes off of Sandberg. Sandberg needs some attention to his wheelchair. You see the indication to his shoulder. He takes the wheel off. Just needs another one. So you can just see how the base of that wheel was just flat at the bottom when it was pressed against the floor as he had taken it off. So there's just enough air in there that creates the ease of movement and the speed that these athletes can generate.
Pessoal, a arena tá bonita, todo mundo aí com esse pisca-pisca, mas infelizmente não briguem comigo, eu preciso pedir para vocês desligarem as luzinhas aí dos celulares durante o jogo. No intervalo a gente faz essa festa bonita aí. Obrigado.
And another penalty. It looks like HJERT is going to be going. So you see him just having a conversation there with the referee, and off he will go. So it's a minute or less. I can pretty much guarantee you it'll be less. Into SALEGUI. He's gonna loft it over for HIVERNAT. That's where they want the ball. He's now got 16 so far for France. Around this side, SALEGUI with the daylight and the conversion again. They've cut this lead to 1. And it's a time to push if they can from here. So they're all the way up, 4 against 4. And this full court press action you're seeing from them, making this a real challenge for Sweden to get the ball inbound. So quite a discussion going on here, just waiting to see. Now this will shake out. The other referee equally just clarifying a point. And here you feel it, the energy starting to build inside the arena. It'll be like this all day. There finally, this conversation continues. Looks as though there has been clarity. And the inbound ready. Sweden to come across from the baseline to get it back in play. Sandberg does well. He's got to be careful from there, though. Does not want to get pushed out of the field of play. And this now becoming really difficult from the referees. Very tight calls. And both teams equally getting penalized.
A foul committed by SALEGUI sent to the sin bin. It's now 3-on-3.
So 3-on-3, both with a player removed from the floor. So the discussion at that bench area continues. And they're happy enough. Play now underway. Last couple minutes, we've seen a little bit of a disruption with that, but it's back now. Sweden with a 2-goal lead. Jensen takes that great inbound pass. So SALEGUI, the full length of the floor right now, just waiting to cross this line. And he does like that. He's being watched there by Sandberg, but again, it's France within one. And we are almost at the halfway point of this third period. This match has just slowed down. It's becoming more like chess right now. Well defended there. SALEGUI gets the arm up, prevents the pass. Intended through to Sandberg. Substitutions as both CHALMIN and SALEGUI will make their way off. HIVERNAT will stay. And we're seeing BENTO ANASTACIO as well. Now number 10 out there, NANKIN 2. NANKIN can catch this one into the basket. Working away, spins from Sandberg and protects for another big French score. And the crowd love it. It's back to level. All the way down the floor. Sandberg is releasing his power there. Shows his speed. He's got a 7th goal now. And before he uses the full 12 seconds to get it across that center line and turns it over, he calls timeout, does HIVERNAT. He had gone a couple different routes. Both of them looked equally as difficult to try to overcome. They'll re-inbound it here now. It's just a 30-second timeout. Both sides, he has a look. This, he's forcing his way through. Sandberg with the contact on the arm. And I think they're just going to count it. They will. They'll just give continuous play. And Again, it's 33 each side. Well past there, but just a little too forceful all the way across. And that angle is just too tight to have it fall into the possession of Sandberg. France with the inbound. With speed aplenty, it's HIVERNAT again, all the way from that halfway line. He scores now his 17th goal of the match. And France have now taken the lead. But right back is the score from Sweden. Thomas here propels his way to that leveling 34th goal. It was a wheel race until he got one stride ahead, did HIVERNAT, and they let him score. France now setting the pace in this third period. And HJERT just as happy to trade scores with HIVERNAT right now. These two scores alone in front for the respective sides. It's now 15 goals for HJERT. Oh, they've taken it away. Janssen will win that back. Or rather, that was Thomas HJERT. He had Janssen as an outside option. And he gets the contact immediately, gets the hand up. And then from behind, and HIVERNAT will take the penalty for France. So now 4 against 3. Sweden with the advantage. And they can go back in front. I think NANKIN has got Andreas COLLIN wrapped up there. He's got a bumper on him, but he's being quite deliberate about it. This is NORLIN trying to block his effort to get through. He's got to pull out, and they do create that room for Andreas COLLIN now. You see the shot clock, it's inside of 5. And the scoring clock, rather, he puts it across. Is there a steal? There is. Sweden come up with it. And HJERT has been very effective in the last couple exchanges. They could increase their lead here, but he's being controlled by France the way they're constructed defensively right now. Oh, and he comes out of it, Thomas HJERT. He'll just moonwalk it back across the line. And he will score now. And that gives a 2-goal credit to Sweden. They just show enough resilience and strength, and he commits to the score right across the line. He's got to go backwards in which to do it, but he's just as effective from there. This is a long effort to Riadh SALLEM. He's just into the game, and he is a threat every time he has the ball. He scores right with that first touch. And SALLEM, we haven't seen a lot of him in this one. That's his second goal of the day. HJERT just as capable, and it's a strong finish all the way down. He works it from behind his own center line, and uncontested, he'll take that 2-goal lead back for Sweden. And look at SALLEM. He'll go the long way to get where he needs to go, but he's run out of time. There is the 12 seconds, and that's one of the challenges sometimes. He can get fixated on his good work and forget that there needs to be distribution in order to get it over there. That time was against him. It's into Sandberg, and Sweden inside the last minute of this third period are going to try to increase their lead to 3. SALLEM trying to take it from, need to be careful here. They will do their best, and it's a good play by ADASZAK. He's making sure that they can't push him over that center line. So that would be over and back, and that's why he sat in that position. He wasn't trying to really get the ball because he equally where his chair was. He would have been, well, that would have been a turnover violation. They're counting it in. HJERT has 3 Frenchmen. Right on of the long pass. It's up to JANSSON waiting. He's got SALLEM. He gives him a rough ride, but it's going to be still JANSSON score inside across the line. And now Sweden starting to take shape in front with 3 and 6.9 seconds left to go in this third period. Riadh SALLEM is going to do his best to try and make it all the way down. Time is not with him. He will barge, but he will not get. And you see his frustration. Sometimes he can really get the bit in his teeth, and he just thinks about scoring sometimes and scoring alone. So it's Sweden at the end of those 3 periods of play. They're up 39-36 over France. And this is the final match in the preliminary round in Group B for both of these teams. The defensive fouls pretty much negate themselves. It's the turnovers, the additional ones from France, that is the disparity in the scoreline after the third period. And Cousin doing his best to try and make sure that his team keeps positive. They've got another 8 minutes ahead to play. The fourth period awaits, and Sweden up by 3 over France 39-36. It will be France with the inbound to start these final 8 minutes. If we've got to, we will go to extra time with 3-minute periods. Very patient right now, but the seconds starting to get away from SALEGUI. He's down to 10. Sweden have constructed a great fortress here. So waiting on this call. They had enough time still remaining. It's Jansson who's taken the penalty and a defensive foul. So France 4-on-3, the numerical advantage. It's SALEGUI. He's gonna have to come underneath this one. He will. And the 37th goal awaits. They'll just go over and make sure they're in good position. He scores it, and that an important one. It's the opener of the 4th period. So SALEGUI, as you see, with 10 goals. He's sharing the offensive load with HIVERNAT, who's got 18. NANKIN's got 4. As this HJERT, the opposite number, 17 for Sweden. As he got an 18th, there's a foul against his arm. And it brings about the removal of a player, or will they just award the goal? It's just going to award it. They're going to go right to 40 from here. And again, that lead back in place for Sweden. And HIVERNAT will score again. They need to put some good defense together now, though. Disrupt this Swedish machine. ADASZAK with a great decoy. He lets it go through to Thomas HJERT. And HJERT wastes no time, but he'll come across this line. He waits and he scores. And he continues to lead from the front. Sweden are in a good position from here. With that 3-goal advantage, they should be able to dictate terms. And France have just turned it over. That's what comes with trying to, every time, respond to your opponent's score. You've got to be perfect, and then you have to start taking chances. And that was just a little too risky. HJERT just holding. He sees SALEGUI leave him. And he spins back around again. He'll be forced by HIVERNAT across this line. And Sweden at their right pace for them. Just keep ticking the scoreboard over. They've now increased their lead to 4. So this score for HIVERNAT pretty much a guarantee. He puts it down. It's the defense, though, from France that now needs to be employed. Oh, what a play, what a decoy. Deceptive move from Thomas HJERT. He offloads it up to SANDBERG, give and go. The ball movement is exceptional. Sweden will benefit from it. And another score, this time from Jansson. As he, the last part of the ladder of passes from Sweden, it is SANDBERG who sacrifices himself in order to make that play. He'll get put back right now. But the play perfectly, and the long man awaits the captain And Sweden scores again. SALEGUI up to NANKIN, very similar that we just saw from Sweden, but NANKIN doesn't have the same speed, nor was he in the same position as it was for JANSSON, and they have in fact turned it over again. Thomas here, a little too nimble, a little too quick, and SANDBERG will grab this, and they start to squeeze the life out of this one for France. They're up by 5. You're seeing the crowd building inside of here, well over 10,000 in here now. NANKIN is a good target, but once he works so hard to get it, it's the pass that he can't execute. He gives that back up. HJERT with the handoff all the way up to SANDBERG, and this is becoming like exhibition stuff right now. Sweden really finding their form. It's ADASZAK being directed to take away the player and make it easier for SANDBERG. He takes it across the line, and the conversion now, they are up by a half dozen at 4:34 remaining in this fourth period. And Sweden have worked for it. They've been patient, and now they're starting to benefit. France with the inbound, but they have also the daunting task of overcoming these 6 goals that have built up. It was a 12-9 victory in the third period for Sweden over France. They have the margin 6-3 that they have acquired and constructed in this fourth period. And now Riadh Salem is back out there. He is so skillful. He would slide right in your seat as quick as you turn your head. He's that kind of player. He's just fast and just very capable of just getting into spaces that you really think when you look at him, it defies logic. He's a big frame, he's a pretty heavy man, but his mobility is exceptional. He's got it now. He tries to get it up. Can they link on the end of it? HJERT will just disrupt it, as JANSSON rather, just gets to it and just touches that. It does leave it for France to inbound though, but it's all about disruption right now from Sweden. They can sense the finish line is within distance. Salem will score again, and he is going to try and make short work of each one of these possessions for France.
Segundo gol de Salem na sequência é gol da França. Diminui pouquinho a vantagem. França 41, Suécia 46. A 4 minutos para o término da partida.
And that's a technical request from the player, the equipment, of course, the issue. And you see that happen as often. There it is, NORLIN, who's getting attended to right now. So NORLIN is a steady pair of hands right now for Sweden. Oh, and I say it, and look what happens. he gets hit from behind, and they disrupt him. And he's suggesting that was his fault. He had the pass, he was in a good position, but it was in fact just the hit from behind that just surprised him a little bit, and just that pressure, that body pressure leaning on him does in fact create the issue. And there you're seeing SALLEM. He's starting to be a man on a mission right now. He's cut that lead from 6 down to 4. And with that turnover, if they give them many more options, they put that turnover against ADASZAK, but really it should have been against NORLIN. Nonetheless, that's 5 goals now for SALLEM. Sandberg runs into his own man. He had a lot of space there, but they end up going east-west and against each other on a one-way track. NORLIN, though, takes the feed from him, and he opens up. That's an important score for Sweden. They're up by 5. SALLEM will take on anybody. Look at him work. He'll find it, and he slams it down. They turn it over. Here is Riadh SALLEM causing chaos out there right now. France are for real. They're back within 3. And Benoit Lebrec, well, he's not happy about it. But France have got a game plan, and it comes through the efforts of that man right there. Well, Sandberg getting an earful from Lebrec there, and he knows what needs to be done. It matters, this matchup, their overall position in this tournament. I think these sides are realistic about where they sit. Probably the most devastating losses, though, have been experienced by Great Britain in this tournament so far. Been so close to that top bracket to go in the semifinals. Sandberg moves it better this time, but so much more activity from France. They're going to try and stay with HJERT if they can get to him, but he's got around the end. And not likely they're going to stop him from here. He's been forced there to score. And inside of 3 minutes remaining, the pressure mounts, but more so on France. Oh, SALLEM got moved out. What a play. Sweden forced him across the line. He has to come back and take the same route that he traveled one way, and it wasn't as solid in his return. The room had tightened up, and he just, by a centimeter, touches that line. And what a play to Sandberg, on the money. It's a perfect little 15-foot pass, and timing is everything. Once again, Sweden benefit from it. SALLEM will take this the other way. And he scores right back. And the challenge with having to pressure offensively is you're generally exposed defensively, and it's an easy one for HJERT on the fast break transition play. It's been winged up, it's been knocked down. Sandberg picks up the loose change, and he might just slot it in and put a deposit one more time across the French goal line. But he's been stuck here right now. He's in a lineup waiting. He's bouncing it to keep it live. He's trying to manage this score and equally the clock at the same time. It's up to Janssen, and the captain has crushed another goal for Sweden. They're up and through the half-century mark. Well crafted by SALLEM. HIVERNAT scores in return for France. But time is becoming an issue now.
Gol da França, gol do capitão HIVERNAT. Placar até o momento, 1 minuto e 43 no término da partida. França 46, Suécia 51.
Over the top into HJERT. He's been slowed. He's okay with that. He doesn't mind managing this clock. He's in the position A. He takes it across 2 wheels for another score. And Sweden reestablishing that half a dozen lead. It's been grabbed. Sweden right back, and this is ADASZAK. He's just going to catwalk it there. And are they going to give it to him, or is that in and out? They will. ADASZAK just gets across that line, and it's official. It's a steal and equally a goal in the same play. That really is excellent work from the Swede. SALLEM riding and rocking his way and entertaining this crowd all the way up. But again, it's Sweden who have been able to control the scoreboard. Inside this last minute, the long play up. Janssen all on his own. And that goes the possession arrow. It's a held ball, and Sweden, with their good fortune, they will have the inbound right now. And you hear the horn in favor of some substitutions. So LHUISSIER NANKIN ANASTACIO is in. And so is SALEGUI. So a new 4-pack out for France. What can they do to take a slice out of this lead right now? But Sweden are just going to manage this clock. It's on their terms from here. Inside the last half a minute, and now on to 20 seconds. This is an exercise all the way down. You will see they got a timeout which they want to use. They'll just score it instead, and there it is again. Thomas HJERT will record it for Sweden. They are just seconds away from their first victory at these Paralympic Games in Rio. And a big hit comes in. SALEGUI will run out of time. And a very valiant effort from France. The way they started it, so impressive, particularly that opening half. Both of these teams with a 14-13 victory in those first two periods. And then it was the second half, really, where Sweden turned the screw, and they will take a full-time result, a 55-47 over France. And it's the final match for them in the preliminary play. That means that France will finish fourth in this group, and Sweden now will finish third. And we'll just have a look at the table in a moment. But both sides, of course, as gracious and as sportsmanlike as ever, will shake hands. As you're seeing this growing crowd inside Karaoke #1 Arena. Lots more wheelchair rugby coming up on day 3 of this competition. HJERT and HIVERNAT lead the way, and equally the supporting cast for both of these sides, but it's a resounding song, of course, Mamma Mia from ABBA ringing out as it's a Swedish victory. The turnovers for France, just too many in a game like this, and the steals equally Sweden, a little over 2-1 in this matchup. They deserve the victory. You heard the comments from their coach, Benoit Lebrecq, saying, why did we wait until now to play like that? Well, Sweden will take the victory, and they will now compete for 5th position come the classification round in day 4. It's a 54-47 scoreline over France. And there you see, they sit in 3rd position. Both the United States and Japan have already secured their positions into the semifinal. They're still yet to play today. These two sides have done their work in the opening round. Now for the final placements to come.